Texas and Ohio State. I will say this first off. This game, I don't think is the better game per se, because I think this one has the most likelihood of being a blowout. Now, that's just after me, thinking about it, looking at the matchup. I mean, this one, I don't know if Texas can keep it close. Now, first off, Texas, their defense, when they're playing at the top of their game, they've got a great defense. And they've shut down some good teams, but, some good in SEC terms. But as far as teams that like the top teams in the country, they haven't really beat much of anyone. Now, they did beat Arizona State to get here to the semifinal round, and they did beat Clemson in the first round to advance to the quarterfinal round. But for Texas right now, I just don't know. And I think I said this the other night, but I don't know if I really have a lot of faith in them because of the way they played against Arizona State. And like I said, they allowed Arizona State to come back 16 points down with like a couple minutes left in the ball game, take it to overtime, and you had to play 2 overtimes just to beat Arizona State. I don't know if that translates well to on Friday night against Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl. Now, granted, you look at like everything that you can look at. Texas, their offense, they've got a great offense, and Quinn Ewers definitely, he can throw the ball around. He is a great quarterback. Can he make enough plays? Now, you want to go to the flip side and look at Ohio State. And what everybody wants to start off by talking about is how great their offenses look. And let's be honest here. Jeremiah Smith is a beast. You got Emeka Egbuka. You also got another receiver in Carnell Tate. You got 3 receivers that are really good. You got a run game in Trevion Henderson, and you got another running back in Quinshon Judkins who can do the job. The question I have, because I think their defense is good. Can their defense? I think this is going to come down to, really, I think it's going to be defensive football. Who can play better defense? And quite frankly, I think I'm giving the edge to Ohio State in this game because Ohio State's defense, I feel like, they played really good against Oregon. They played really good against Tennessee. Of course, the 21 points they gave up. You gave up like 13 in the second half. You gave up 8 there at the end of the first half. So my thing is this, okay? Ohio State, they knew they had won the game. There wasn't no need to have to go score anymore. There wasn't no need to play lockdown defense because Oregon wasn't moving the ball all that great the whole night in the Rose Bowl. So if I look back at that at Ohio State and I look back at Texas so far in the playoff, I really do have a hard time picking against Ohio State in this matchup or in the national championship game. I have a hard time just because Ohio State, just quite frankly, the way they won these 2 games here in the playoff, they look dominant. Very, very, very dominant. There's not much else I could say other than dominant performances from the Ohio State Buckeyes. So, of course, you look at, you want to look at some guys that could potentially be big in a matchup. Like a couple of guys for Ohio State and a couple guys for Texas. I'm just going to get their roster pulled up because you got to truly look back at some of these guys. But you want to look at Ohio State. and they've got a lot of good players. But in the receiving game, a guy that I feel like because I think Texas, they're going to try to heavily guard Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Buka. So look for G. Scott Jr., the tight end. You heard me call his name once the other night in the Rose Bowl. Look for him to have a big game because I feel like Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Buka may be guarded heavily, very heavily. So I feel like it's going to be big for a guy like G. Scott to get the ball quite a bit on Friday night. Now, if you look at Texas, I will say this. Their run game, to me, is going to have to come up big. I feel like Ohio State, they're going to realize, hey, Texas, they got a pretty good receiving core. Quintrevion Wisner may be guarded, may be shut down heavily. Jaden Blue, Jarek Gibson, them two are going to have to be big for Texas in this game because I feel like Texas has got to be able to run the ball effectively against Ohio State. Because if you can run the ball effectively, then I feel like you will be able to take down Ohio State. Now, of course, it's a big task. Both teams play. I mean, this is this is going to be a very interesting matchup. But right now, if I had to give you a pick, I'm picking Ohio State. Because like I said, the dominance of what they've looked like in these first two matchups in the college football playoff, I have a hard time picking against Ohio State. Now, also something else.